So I've glammed it up a bit because, you know, filters are my friend with the bags and everything. Little bit of a story. So for the past 3 years, I thought I had asthma. Like, hardly touched by, what do you call it? Inhalers, and going to bed afraid that I wasn't going to be able to wake up and I would, you know, suffocate in my sleep. All of that stuff for the past 3 years or so. And a lot has happened, of course, with the pandemic, with, you know, the fear that if I got this disease, if I got COVID, I would die, crazy COVID breakups, caregivers losing their minds and sort of becoming verbally and emotionally abusive. And then, of course, you know, unfortunately, I was able to take advantage of the enhanced unemployment because at the time that COVID started, I had finally got to a point where I was able to work like 5 hours a week. And it was enough to supplement my income, which meant that for the first time in a long time, I was sort of solvent. I was solvent for about 18 months. The pandemic happened. My work started drying up. And so I went on unemployment, had a ton of money for a year and change, lost it in the stock market. And then before that, had, like I said, the worst breakup of my life. And given that I am homebound, not a lot of distraction from the sort of horrificness and drama of it. And, you know, me being me, I'm always trying to find another way, like a way around, a pivot that will help. And so I found a couple of pivots and I took them and got bullied a bit and kind of bullied out of the community that I was a part of that was hopefully going to lead to being able to be solvent again, you know. So I, you know, invested in myself, right? Smart thing to do. And then it got just really sick. I just started getting sicker. I'd had enough of a measure of health to work a little. And then I got COVID and it wasn't that bad, but the long-term effects took me out slowly. And so I got to watch my life disappear again. And I remember one time, you know, when I was still with my ex, I said to him, I was having an asthma attack. And so I was starting to get anxious about it because, you know, I was. And so I called him and I was like, can I just talk? And I'd taken like a Klonopin to deal with the anxiety attack that was triggered by the asthma attack. And so I called him and I was like, can I just yammer at you while the pill works? And he let me do that. And then at the end of it, he said, baby girl, you just had a panic attack. It wasn't asthma, it was a panic attack. And I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, you're really pretty. And went about my business, you know, managing my asthma. So for the past 2 years, you know, 3 years, I have been under tremendous amounts of stress, in addition to piled on top of what I usually deal with, just being chronically ill. So I thought, you know, I was doing good because I was coping, right? Mentally, it felt like, yeah, I was a little stressed, but I was okay. But this asthma was killing me and I couldn't figure out, you know, what was, you know, the inhalers weren't helping. And I was trying to get, you know, medication from my doctor because I thought, you know, it's being caused by post-nasal drip that was irritating my lungs because you know, as I said, the inhalers weren't working. And just Friday, I still hadn't solved the asthma problem, still haven't been able to get the Sudafed covered under Medicare anymore because they stopped covering it. And I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to make that happen. And that process, just finding out which hoops has taken 8 months. So in the meantime, I'm like, okay, I have half a Klonopin left from a prescription that was filled in 2022 of March. So I should probably get that refilled. And my primary care physician is like, we don't do that anymore. You need to get a psychiatrist. And anybody who's been looking for a psychiatrist in this time period knows that has not been easy. And if you also have health issues on top of it, it's even worse. So thank goodness to ZocDoc. I was able to get seen in a video appointment and got a prescription for Klonopin to at least be able to manage the anxiety attacks that were brought on by the asthma attacks. Took the Klonopin. Less than an hour later, I was able to breathe just fine. I have been having continuous panic attacks for the better part of 2 years. Continuous panic attacks. And I thought I was coping so well. Like, I was doing all my coping shit, reading, breathing, stretching, mindfulness, therapy twice a week, all the things, right? And I thought I was coping so well, but I could hardly breathe because I was so stressed out. So now here I am on these stupid pills that I don't want to be on, just so that I can breathe properly. And I'm grateful that it was figured out, because I imagine being under enough stress that you have something that resembles a constant situation of asthma going on that's bad enough that you worry that you're not going to wake up the next day is probably not healthy for your body. And in the meantime, I am dealing with this all by myself. Pretty much all by myself. And I don't have a support network. I have a mother who is doing her very best, but she's limited. She doesn't live with me. I live alone. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of all of this being so hard. And I'm so tired of it being this hard and so impossible to talk about, because nobody, who doesn't have this disease really gets how horrific it is. I am 24/7 physically miserable, in pain, exhausted, hardly able to think. All of my favorite things that I used to love to do, I can do maybe 4% of them. And on top of everything else, and I know I should be grateful, and I am, that it's not asthma, but I thought I was doing so well. I thought I was coping so well. And it turned out that I guess it would have been even worse if I wasn't coping as well as I had been, if I hadn't been, using all the strategies. But I am so tired. I'm tired of being broke. I am tired of being sick. I am tired of being alone. And I'm being really, really honest about this at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, hello world.